Does anybody remember what did we discuss last time? किसी को याद है हमने क्या डिस्कस किया था? Anybody?
दुर्योधन की बात करने की स्टाइल।
हाँ, दुर्योधन की डिप्लोमेसी, हाँ, वो कैसे राजनीतिक तरीके से बात कर रहा था और अपना एक ही शब्द बोल के उसके मल्टीपल मीनिंग करवा के वो दोनों पार्टी को एक साथ खुश कर रहा था. कौन सा था वो वर्ड? अपर्याप्तम, राइट? वो बता रहे थे जो अपर्याप्तम का मतलब दो मीनिंग होता है उसका संस्कृत में. हाँ, अपर्याप्तम का एक मीनिंग है इनसफिशिएंट एंड दूसरा मीनिंग है अनलिमिटेड, राइट? तो भीष्म क्या समझे कि दुर्योधन बता रहा है कि मेरी वजह से वी हैव अ अनलिमिटेड स्ट्रेंथ. हाँ, एंड व्हाट द्रोणा अंडरस्टूड कि इवन भीष्म भी है बट फिर भी अपना लिमिटेड है, तो आई हैव टू एंड गिव माई बेस्ट. सो ये हो सकता है. सो दैट इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ अ पर्सन हु इज वेरी cunning, right? But we have to use it in the right purpose, for the right purpose, not the wrong purpose. He was using for the wrong purpose, for his selfishness he was using it. What else we discussed? How they become enemy, right? And then what is the beautiful story that we discussed in that? What happens after that? They became enemy, and then what happened? Drona went there not by himself, but he sent his disciples and captured Drupad, right? And after that, Drupad was insulted, and what Drupad thought? I will do a yajna for what? To ask for a son who can be the killer of Drona. Now, the amazing part that we discuss of the story is that Drushtadumna, the son of Drupad, goes to whom to learn Dhanurvidya? To Dronacharya. And Dronacharya, knowing very well that he is going to be my killer in the future, still he teaches him everything. So the values were so powerful, that no matter what it is, you keep your, because you are a teacher, so it doesn't matter, the enemy का son आएगा तो भी आपको सिखाना है उसको, और अच्छी तरह से सिखाना है. ऐसा नहीं है कि चलो आज सिखाने के लिए सिखाते चलो जाओ अभी घर पे, ऐसी बात नहीं है. बहुत अच्छे से उन्होंने सिखाया. So that's what we learned, that how Duryodhana. What is the another thing that we discussed towards the end? Does anybody remember? One interesting thing that we discussed towards the end. So I'm giving you the hint. We discussed about the power of speech. The power of speech, right?
What we say and how.
Yes. What we say and how we say. So the communication is not about communicating the words. It's not about the eloquence. Communication is all about communicating your intent. That is very, very important. And that is where we all miss out. And that is where all the misunderstanding happens. अरे यार मैंने ये बताया पर मेरा ये मतलब नहीं था. But that is what I understood. So हमने वो one sided story था. तो what is the other side of the story? When somebody tells us and if we misunderstand, then please give them the benefit of doubt. If you really want to continue the relationship, if you really want to continue to have a nice life even in this material world, please give them the benefit of doubt. Because without that, without the benefit of doubt, what will happen? You will make your life miserable. Somebody said very nicely that don't give the remote control of your life in others' hand, the remote control of your emotions. So that is what we learn. And the most amazing example in the world we see, what is the power of speech, is Hitler. He literally convinced everybody to lay down their lives in the World War II. So the power of speech is very, very powerful. But it has to be used in the right purpose. So right now what we are doing is also power of speech, which was happened 5,000 years ago. Huh? So that's a beautiful power of speech example, huh, of Samvad between Krishna and Arjuna. Huh? So we saw so far Duryodhana's mindset. Today we'll be discussing the signs of victory as we called out in our advertisement to say, or a teasers that we send in our WhatsApp group, right? So today we'll be seeing the various signs that indicates that how Pandavas will be victorious. कैसे पांडवों की विजय होगी. और उसके साथ साथ हम लोग कई अमेजिंग स्टोरीज भी आज सुनेंगे. दिस पर्टिकुलर chariot with the white horses, how Arjuna got that. That's a very beautiful story. So we'll discuss that as well. So let's get started with the exciting journey of Bhagavad Gita. We have covered till verse number 11. We'll start with verse number 12. So you can repeat after me. तस्य संजनयन हर्षम कुरु वृद्ध पितामह सिंहनादं विघ्नादोच्च शंखं दद्मो प्रतापवान्. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like a roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. So we'll read the purport, then we'll go in this particular circle, okay?
The grandsire of the Kuru dynasty could understand the inner meaning of the heart of his grandson Duryodhana, and out of his natural compassion for him, he tried to cheer him by blowing his conch shell very loudly, befitting his position as lion. Indirectly, by the symbolism of the conch shell, he informed his depressed grandson Duryodhana that he had no chance of victory in the battle, because the Supreme Lord Krishna was on the other side. But still, it was his duty to conduct the fight, and no pains would be spared in that connection.
Okay, so now what has happened as we discussed last time, right? Duryodhana went first to whom? Dronacharya, and then Bhishma, and tapping everybody, right? Glorifying Drona, glorifying Bhishma, and telling other also, right? Whatever the other Vikarna, even who was kind of double dholki as we call it, he may even go this side also because he did not raise objection during the Vastraharan of Draupadi, right? So like that, he was going and really pepping up his all the warriors. So everyone was getting ready. But now here, the interesting thing that you see, right? Why Bhishma was fighting on the side of Duryodhana? Does anybody know?
Because he had promised Dhritarashtra that he will always support him to save the Kuru dynasty. One of the promises was that.
Promise is correct, but the promise was not to Dhritarashtra.
उसने प्रोमिस किया था
किसको?
हस्तिनापुर को कभी वो डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशन में नहीं देगा, अच्छी सिचुएशन में छोड़ के जाएगा. उसके पिताजी को शांतनु को प्रोमिस किया था गंगा माता.
Yes, anybody else? Yes.
He has taken the place to serve the Hastinapur.
हाँ, पर कभी लिया था वो प्लेस? Anybody remembers?
When
Not father.
before his father was going to get married to
Ah. So what's her name? Satyavati. Right? So Satyavati had a question mark कि भाई you are the original son of Shantanu Maharaj, तो you are the rightful heir of the kingdom. हाँ, तो अगर मेरा बच्चा आया तो वो कहाँ जाएगा भाई? हाँ, किंग कौन बनेगा? तो बोले ठीक है मैं छोड़ दूंगा. तो अच्छा ठीक है वो तो छोड़ दोगे, पर तुम्हारा बच्चा हुआ तो then he said I will become Ajivan Brahmachari. And for a Kshatriya to do that, that's where all the Pushpa Varsha happened from the sky, because it was a very terrible vow that he took. And that is why he was known as Bhishma. Originally his name was Devavrat. But because he took that vow, that's why he is called Bhishma. And then what? To give one more comfort to Satyavati, because Satyavati knew that अगर ये बंदा ब्रह्मचारी हो गया, जंगल में चला गया तो किंगडम का क्या होगा, क्या फायदा? हाँ, तो that's why seeing that dilemma of Satyavati, what did Bhishma said? Mother, do not worry. I promise that no matter what happens, I will always be on the side of the throne of Hastinapur. And who was on the throne of Hastinapur? Dhritarashtra at that time. So that is why Bhishma was on the side of Duryodhana. That is very important to understand. Now अभी दुर्योधना ये जो मोटिवेशनल स्पीच दिया, हाँ, इतना बड़ा मोटिवेशन स्पीच दिया द्रोणा को और भीष्म को, what did they do? See the response here. That is a very interesting thing coming here in Bhagavad Gita. That's why Bhagavad Gita is such an amazing thing where so many things are unspoken, which our acharyas help us to understand. So here, did Bhishma reply saying, "Beta, do not worry, I am there"? कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आया. नहीं द्रोणा ने भी कुछ बोला, अच्छा ठीक है, कुछ भी नहीं, नो रिस्पॉन्स whatsoever. What did he do? Bhishma blew the conch. So have you experienced the problem or the difficulty of being silent? Somebody remains silent, then what happens? There is a big episode that happened in Srimad Bhagavatam. Somebody remained silent and it became a big history of that. Who was that? Dhruva Maharaj. Huh? So Dhruva Maharaj wanting to sit in his father's lap. Huh? But then Suruchi came and dragged him down. You have no right to sit on your father's lap. If you want to sit on your father's lap, then you have to take a birth from my womb. And what did Uttanapad say? Nothing. मौन व्रत धारण कर लिया तभी. सो ध्रुव को जितना बुरा उनकी स्टेप मदर से नहीं लगा, जो उनको खींच के नीचे उतार दी, उतना बुरा नहीं लगा जितना बुरा उनको उनके पिताजी ने कुछ भी नहीं कहा उसका लगा. Why he didn't say anything? हाँ, so Dhruva Maharaj is actually comes in Srimad Bhagavatam as one of the amazing devotee of Lord Shri Krishna. What happens after this story? So then Dhruva Maharaj, okay, so let me tell the story now of the Dhruva Maharaj. So Uttanapada didn't say that, and he was very, very upset being a son of Kshatriya. He was only 5 years old at that time. And he felt so bad that he goes to his mother, and his mother's name is Suniti. Now the names are also comes in Bhagavatam is very appropriate. Suniti and Suruchi. So the king Uttanapad was attached to whom? Suruchi. And he was not so much attached to Suniti. Right? And this is what happens when you become attached to something that you develop ruchi for. And something which is rightful to do, which is the niti to be followed. If you're not attached to that, then that becomes a problem. Now Dhruva Maharaj goes, meets with his mother. Mother, I cannot tolerate this insult. I want a kingdom greater than my grandfather. And his grandfather was who? Brahmaji himself at that time. This is the story of Satyuga, by the way. Okay. Now, mother, what would she do? अगर आप में से कई मदर रहेंगी यहाँ पे, राइट? अगर आपका बच्चा के बोलता है कि नहीं ऐसा हो गया मेरे साथ, कुछ तो मेरे को इसका आंसर चाहिए, मतलब बेटा आज मेरे लिए मैगी बना देती हूँ, बैठ जा रहा तो ठीक है, मैं तेरे लिए ये कार्टून लगा देती हूँ तो बैठ जा रहा हूँ तो सब ठीक है, तेरा स्कूल में झगड़ा हो गया कोई बात नहीं, सब ठीक है. But she was not like that. She understood that her son was very serious about his ask. So what did she say? She says, my dear son, nobody can help you on this, whatever you desire. Only one person who can help you, none other than Lord Narayan. None other than Lord Vishnu. So क्या बोलता है ध्रुव महाराज? कहाँ मिलेंगे मेरे को विष्णु? See the child. हाँ, छोटा सा बच्चा पूछ रहा है कहाँ मिलेंगे मुझे वो विष्णु जिनसे मैं ये मांग सकूं, द किंगडम ग्रेटर देन माई ग्रैंडफादर. Then the mother helplessly says, what I have learned from the other acharyas and the rishis, that he is found in forest. Now he goes to the forest. Immediately after hearing, कि माँ ने बोला फॉरेस्ट में मिलेंगे, तुरंत निकल पड़े वो, तुरंत निकल पड़े. ऐसा नहीं कि बेटा थोड़ा बैग वैग लेके जा, पानी वानी लेके जा, कुछ नहीं. He just left. He left to the forest. Now he is in the forest, he is searching, and sure enough, when somebody, this is the beauty of the spiritual life. Mind this is an amazing thing. And believe me, I must congratulate each and everyone who has come here. The discussion about the Lord, mat chita mat gata prana, bodhayansta paraspara. Whenever there is a discussion about the Lord personally being present there. It is not found in the hearts of the yogis, not it's found in the Himalayas. It's found in the heart, in the place where there's a discussion is happening about the Lord. So all of you have spent your valuable time, you have sacrificed your other priorities and come here is an amazing choice that you have made. It's not just because you have come here, I'm glorifying you. Anywhere, if you choose to be a part of the glorification of the Lord, that is the permanent investment you are making of your time and of your life. And whenever you are serious about it, believe me, the Lord has arranged everything. Lord has arranged everything. One day, whenever time permits, we will even discuss the story of Srila Prabhupada. If you have a desire, he had a desire that I want to fulfill the promise of my spiritual master, to preach to the Western world. It is impossible task. But it happened. Similarly, in this case, Dhruva just left. Not that मेरा बैग पैक कर दो माँ, मेरा थोड़ा एक महीने का थोड़ा सीरियल्स भर दो, एक महीने का चॉकलेट या ये सब कुछ रेडी कर दो. तो nothing. He did not even look at his mother. He just left. He was so serious about it. So what did the Lord do? Lord sends Narada Muni. Narada Muni comes and tells Dhruva, what happened? Where are you going? He said, I'm going to the forest. He says, why? He says, no, I want a kingdom greater than my grandfather, and my mother told me that I will find Lord Vishnu in the forest and he only can help. अरे बेटा क्यों इतना छोटी सी बात को सीरियसली ले रहे हो? अभी तुम्हारी खेलने कूदने की उम्र है. ये कहाँ तुम इतना सीरियसली ले लिया अपने स्टेप मदर का वचन? जाओ घर पे जाओ बेटा, तुम्हारी माँ राह देख रही है, अच्छे से बैठो, ऐसा करो. What did Dhruva say? If you cannot help me, then move aside. He was so determined. The another meaning of Dhruva is determination. He said, if you cannot help me, Narada Muni, side. I want to make sure that I achieve my goal. And seeing the determination and the seriousness of Dhruva, what did Narada Muni say? Now I give you the mantra. You just chant this mantra and you will achieve your desired goal. And he gave the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He said, you just chant this mantra. So he just goes to the forest Madhuvan and goes on chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. First month, he just survives on the roots and the fruits. Second month, he just survives on the leaves. Nothing else, just leaves. Third month, only on the water. Fourth month, only on the air. And the fifth month, he completely gives up everything, practically. And by the time the 6 months come, the whole earth started trembling because of his such a powerful, determined act of devotion and act of determination to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And everyone was suffocating because he was not breathing. So the entire air was completely gone from the universe. And all the Devatas were going to the Vishnu, bhai, kya ho raha hai? Kuch karo. What is this calamities is coming on us? And then Vishnu was very pleased, he was just testing. And then Vishnu gave darshan to Dhruva Maharaj. And that is what we see again today, that what did Vishnu do? He touched the conch shell. There is a lot of conch shell is going to be discussed today. Okay? So he touched the conch shell on the head of Dhruva. And as soon as he touched the conch shell on the head of Dhruva, Dhruva was enlightened completely. And he got the knowledge of all the Vedas, and he started glorifying the Lord like anything. And in that glorification, he says that, oh my Lord, after seeing your darshan, what I was looking for is just the broken pieces of glass. Huh? The kingdom greater than the grandfather means the kingdom of as good as whole universe, he considers or compares it with only a broken piece of glass. Why? Because the darshan of the Lord is so precious. It is so amazing that it fulfills all your desires. You become completely Atmaram, you become self-satisfied. That you don't need anything else. That is Dhruva. And then see the beauty of the Lord. Lord says, no matter, I will still give you the broken piece of glass. Huh? So how many of find out the direction when they are in the midst of the darkness and in the terrific sea and things like that? How do they find the direction? By looking at the Dhruvatara, that pole star. That is the Dhruva Loka, which was given by the Lord himself, which is bigger than the Brahma Lok, actually. That Dhruva Lok, where he ruled for 36,000 years. And the amazing part and the concluding of the story is, after all these things is done, he enjoyed the kingdom, everything. He became absolutely devoted. The airplane comes to take him back home, back to Godhead. He asked for, where is my mother? Not just the Suniti, but even Suruchi. Right? And he says, they are there already in the plane ahead of you. So that is Dhruva Maharaj. Now coming back to the point, I hope that explains the story who is Dhruva. So that's a very beautiful, this story comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. So now the whole episode started with silence. Right? So like that, there are many times we see in our own family relationships, kuch to bolo, ab chup kyun ho? Specifically happens in the family life of, there is a father-in-law, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, and we call it a best sandwich is a husband, right? He feels sometimes as a sandwich between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. And then, ab kuch bol kyun nahi rahe ho, right? But what that person can say, because it's a very difficult thing for that person to say. But at that time, what is the lesson to be learned from this? Is not that we try and rectify the situation, but rather than rectifying the situation, we understand the limitation of the situation and move on, and not hanging on to that particular thing. That is the most important thing, that the lesson we learn. And here, Bhishma Dev is very clearly, rather than answering his stupid glorification and other things, because he knew that what he is speaking is just the selfish words and there is no point in answering that. And by blowing the conch, as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, he assured you that I will fight with my vigor, I will fight wholeheartedly. But he gave an indirect message also by blowing the conch, that the conch is a symbol of whom? Is a symbol of Vishnu. And Vishnu is already present on the other side. So you understand that victory kiska hone wala hai. This is the first sign of the victory is indicated by Bhishma Dev himself. We'll go to the next verse. Tata sankasya bheryascha panavanaka gomukha sahasevya vyahanyanta Sasabdasya tumulo bhavat. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. So now we see that all the Kaurava party started blowing their different instruments, and this is what actually happens during the wartime in those days, right? It's like lot of sound thing happening, and here now the battle is about to begin. Okay, we'll go to the next verse because there is no purport to this. Tata श्वेतेर्हयैर्युक्ते महति स्यन्दने स्थितो माधवः पाण्डवाश्चैव दिव्यो शङ्खो प्रदद्मतुः. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. We'll read the purport.
In contrast with the powerful blonde of Vishnu, the conch shells in the hands of Krishna and Arjuna are described as transcendental. The sounding of the transcendental conch shells indicated that there was no hope of victory for the other side, because Krishna was on the side of Pandavas. Jayastu Pandu Putran Yeshan Pakse Janardana. Victory is always with persons like the sons of Pandu, because Lord Krishna is associated with them. And whenever and wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is always there. Because the goddess of fortune never leaves alone without her husband. Therefore, victory and fortune were awaiting Arjuna, as indicated by the transcendental sound produced by the function of Vishnu, or Lord Krishna. Besides that, the chariot on both the fronts were seated has been donated by Agni to Arjuna, and this indicated that this chariot was capable of conquering all sides wherever it was drawn over the three worlds.
Okay. So now we see the very interesting thing being called out, right? One of the thing in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that wherever there is Krishna or Lord Vishnu, Lakshmi ji also should be there, the goddess of fortune. Lakshmi ji वहीं पे रहेंगे. पर आजकल की दुनिया का प्रॉब्लम क्या है? They want Lakshmi ji without Vishnu, without Krishna. That's the problem. And that problem अभी का start नहीं हुआ है. कब का start हुआ है? रावण से स्टार्ट हुआ है वो. रावण wanted Sita without Ram. That's a problem. And what happened? Sarvanash. There is nothing happens. So if you worship, it's not that we worship Lord Vishnu because we want Lakshmi. ऐसा नहीं है, उसको ज़रूरत ही नहीं. It's a byproduct. वो होगा ही. All fortune will come on you. If you worship Lord Krishna, all fortune will come on you. That is the beauty. Now here, this particular chariot that we see, how did it come about? That's what here it is said. Who gave? Agni Dev. So once Krishna and Arjuna, they were friends. They were the thick of friends. They were the best of the friends. तो वो लोग एक फॉरेस्ट था, उसके आजू बाजू घूम रहे थे, जस्ट विहार कर रहे थे, और फिर थोड़ा थक गए तो एक पत्थर पे दोनों बैठे थे और ऐसे ही बातचीत कर रहे थे. तो सडनली वो फॉरेस्ट में से एक एकदम ही तेजस्वी व्यक्ति आता है, बहुत ही तेजस्वी ब्राह्मणा, वेरी वेल बिल्ट, वेरी इफल्जेंट, having a golden hair and very powerful. So he comes and says to Arjuna and Krishna that I am very hungry. I want to eat. और उस जमाने में definitely they were respecting Brahmana like anything. And whatever Brahmana asked, they should give. So Krishna and Arjuna said, what would you like to have? We'll definitely arrange something for you to eat. बोलते नहीं, my food is very different. You are not getting my point. I want to tell you that who am I first of all. He said, I am none other than Agni Dev. And I want to eat this forest. I said, ये forest? बोलते और कोई forest नहीं, यही forest क्यों भाई? बोलते हैं एक श्वेतकी करके राजा थे, उन्होंने एक बार यज्ञ किया, उसमें इतना सारा घी डाल दिया कि आई गॉट अ इंडाइजेशन. अभी ये करने के लिए एक ही इलाज है, जड़ी बूटी चाहिए, और वो सारी जड़ी बूटी कहाँ पे है? ये फॉरेस्ट में है, तो मुझे ये फॉरेस्ट को खाना पड़ेगा. अभी मैं फॉरेस्ट खाऊंगा तो डेफिनेटली उसके सारे जीव जंतु अंदर है वो भी मर जाएंगे, पर मैंने ब्रह्मा जी से पूछा तो ब्रह्मा जी ने बोला यू शुड ईट दिस फॉरेस्ट ओनली बिकॉज ऑल द लिविंग एंटिटीज इन दैट फॉरेस्ट हैव अ कार्मिक रिएक्शन टू बर्न टू एशेस. So he said, it is legal for me now to even eat this forest. So the problem क्या है? खा लो. नहीं, the problem is each time I go to devour this forest, Indra comes and showers the rain. Why Indra showers the rain? Because his friend Takshaka is staying in that forest. Takshaka is a snake god, right? So he said he stays there and he is the best friend of Indra. तो जैसे ही मैं ये फॉरेस्ट को खत्म करने जाता हूँ वो आके बारिश कर देते हैं, तो पूरा अग्नि शांत हो जाएगा, बारिश कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा. तो दैट्स वाई ब्रह्मा जी टोल्ड मी दैट द ओनली वे यू कैन बी हेल्प्ड इज बाय नर एंड नारायण हु इज नन अदर देन कृष्णा एंड अर्जुना. सो आई लर्न दैट यू आर वंडरिंग अराउंड हियर, सो आई हैव कम टू टेक योर ब्लेसिंग्स एंड हेल्प, सीक योर हेल्प. सो अभी अर्जुना ने बोला ठीक है आई कैन हेल्प यू, बट द प्रॉब्लम इज I have weapons. I have some arrows are there, but I don't have a bow and a chariot. I need bow and a chariot to fight this whenever Indra is going to rain. So I can fight and then help you to devour this forest. So Agnidev, okay, that's not a problem. I can get you. So immediately call for Varuna. Then the Varuna comes, and then Varuna brings the chariot from whom? Chariot from moon god, from a Soma. Soma is a moon god, and the moon god gives his chariot to Arjuna, and that's why the horses are white. That's why horses are white, and these horses are actually given by the Gandharva Lokas. The chariot came with the diamond studded and everything. Is very beautiful. And the horses were given by the Gandharva. The king of Gandharva is Chitrarath. He gave those horses. And then Varuna himself gives the Gandiva bow to Arjuna. And after that, he makes sure that he devours the entire forest and the whole rain and everything is being taken care by Arjuna. So this is what happens, and that is how this beautiful Rath is given to Arjuna by Agnidev himself. So that's a beautiful story that comes. Now we go to the next verse, the most important verse. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Pondram Daddamo Mahashankham Bhima Karma Vrkodaraha. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondra. Let's go on, Prabhu. You want to read the next?
Lord Krishna is referred to as Rishikesh in this verse because he is the owner of all senses. The living entities are part and parcel of him, and therefore the senses of the living entities are also part and parcel of his senses. The impersonalist cannot account for the senses of the living entities, and therefore they are always anxious to describe all living entities as senseless or impersonal. The Lord situated in the hearts of all living entities directs their senses, but he directs in terms of the surrender of the living entity, and in the case of a pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. Here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus his particular name of Rishikesha. The Lord has different names according to his different activities. For example, his name is Madhusudana because he killed the demon of the name Madhu. His name is Govinda because he gives pleasure to the cows and to the senses. His name is Vasudev because he appeared as the son of Vasudev. His name is Devakinandan because he accepted Devaki as his mother. His name is Yashodanandan because he awarded his childhood pastimes to Yashoda at Vrindavan. His name is Parthasarthi because he worked as charioteer of his friend Arjuna. Similarly, his name is Rishikesha because he gave direction to Arjun on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna is referred to as Dhananjaya in this verse because he helped his elder brother in fetching wealth when it was required by the king to make expenditures for different sacrifices. Similarly, Bhima is known as Vrikodara because he could eat as voraciously as he could perform Herculean tasks, such as killing the demon Hidimba. So, the particular type of conch shell blown by the different personalities of the sides of the Pandavas, beginning with the lords, were all very encouraging to the fighting soldiers. On the other side, there were no such credits, nor the presence of the Lord Krishna, the supreme director, nor that of the goddess of fortune. So they were predestined to lose the battle, and that was the message announced by the sound of the conch shells.
Thank you. Very nice. So now we'll discuss few things on this. Prabhu, is really interesting. Okay, so we'll discuss how this Panchajanya Shankh Lord Krishna received. We'll discuss how Arjuna received the Shankha called Devadatta. And the most important thing, what is this word Rishikesha? It's very elaborately, Srila Prabhupada writes almost the first paragraph of the purport is just explaining about Rishikesha. Rishikesha means, Rishika means senses and Isha means one who controls. So Rishikesha means the controller of the senses. And what the problem that we have is the controlling of the senses. Isn't it? टंग ने बोला कुछ अच्छा खाना चाहिए तो दैट मीन्स यू डेफिनेटली हैव टू गो एंड फाइंड द बेस्ट प्लेस. बहुत पक गया अभी, वीकेंड आया, वी हैव टू गो आउट. हाँ, बच्चे बोलते हैं माँ को अभी क्या है खाने में आज वीकेंड में. वीकडे में तो चला लिया ये सब. वीकेंड में तो वी रियली वांट समथिंग डिलीशियस. हाँ, सो द टंग वांट्स समथिंग palatable to eat. Eyes wants to see something, the movies, the scenery, so many other things, right? The nose wants to smell. So the most amazing thing is no matter how much we engage these senses to satisfy them, are they satisfied? No matter आपने कैसा भी खाना खाया है, किधर भी खाया है, कितना भी डिलीशियस खाया है, राइट? और अमेजिंग पार्ट देखना आप उसका, यू मे ईट द बेस्ट ऑफ द क्यूजीन, बट उसी होटल में आप दूसरी बार जाओगे ना तो बोलोगे ठीक है यार, उतना भी अभी ये नहीं है. तीसरी बार गए तो लगता है कि शेफ बदल गया. वो पहले वाला मज़ा नहीं रहा. इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट. इट्स बिकॉज योर सेंसेस वांट्स टू एक्सपीरियंस हायर एंड हायर एंड दे विल नेवर बी सेटिस्फाइड. They will never be satisfied. But it will be satisfied when you serve the senses of the Lord. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. That means the definition of bhakti is very simple. When you engage your senses in the service of the Lord, you will be perfect. अभी आप लोग जो कर रहे हो, दैट इज व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज कॉल्ड भक्ति. एंगेजिंग योर सेंसेस ऑफ हियरिंग इन द सर्विस ऑफ द लॉर्ड. आप जो ये सुन रहे हैं उससे ये सेंसेस से आप भगवान की सेंसेस को प्लीज कर रहे हैं. सो अल्टीमेटली द गोल ऑफ लाइफ इज टू प्लीज द लॉर्ड. अपनी लाइफ में हम लोग क्या करते हैं? अल्टीमेटली वी वांट टू प्लीज समबडी, इजंट इट? इधर यू वांट टू प्लीज योर बॉस, यू वांट टू प्लीज योर स्पाउस, यू प्लीज योर चिल्ड्रन, प्लीज योर पेरेंट्स, प्लीज योर फ्रेंड्स. बट यू गो एंड आस्क एनीबडी, आर यू एबल टू सेटिस्फाई एनी ऑफ देम? फॉरगेट ऑफ दैट. आर यू एबल टू सेटिस्फाई योर ओन सेल्फ? अपने आप को सेटिस्फाई कर पाए हो क्या कभी? व्हाट टू स्पीक ऑफ सेटिस्फाइंग अदर्स. क्योंकि उनका एक्सपेक्टेशन ही इतना जबरदस्त रहता है. हैव यू हर्ड द टिपिकल डायलॉग बिटवीन द हस्बैंड एंड अ वाइफ? यू विल नेवर अंडरस्टैंड. हस्बैंड बोलेगा सर पटक पटक भाई इतना मैंने ट्राई किया फिर भी कुछ नहीं. वाइफ बोलेगी मैंने इतना आपको ट्राई किया सेटिस्फाई करने का, अच्छा खाना खिला के, ये करके वो करके, फिर भी आप नहीं. इट विल नेवर हैपन. इट विल नेवर हैपन. The satisfaction of the Lord is the only thing which will bring satisfaction to yourself. And I'll share one of the example that one of my friends shared today. Was amazing. We are discussing in Srimad Bhagavatam about this one particular word only, Rishikesh, that how satisfying the Lord, everything else will be satisfied. It is like, let's say if you have to water the root of the tree, right? Everything else will be satisfied. Do you have to go and water the leaves? You have to go and water the branch? No. Everything else will be satisfied. The root of this world is Lord Krishna. If you satisfy Him, everything else will be satisfied. Just see how Duryodhana has to do so much gymnastic. But look at the Pandava side. Nothing. No motivation speech, nothing, no nonsense. Just serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Arjuna and Duryodhana went to Krishna asking for who will fight for us, right? And Krishna was sleeping. As always, the demon and the people who do not believe in the God, he sit on the head of the Lord, right? He was side of the head of the Lord. And Arjuna, being a devotee, sat at the feet of the Lord, right? And as soon as the Lord woke up, जब भी भगवान जगे तो उन्होंने क्या देखा? अर्जुन को देखा सीधा, राइट? तो अर्जुन को बोला क्या चाहिए? दुर्योधन बोला मैं पहले आया था, ये तो बाद में आया, मैंने उसे पहले देखा. See the Lord, is amazing how He does so wonderful things. And He wanted to prove to the world that what my devotees want, that is what Lord wanted. अदरवाइज कौन सी बड़ी बात थी? भगवान का भक्त है, बोला अच्छा ठीक है तू तो मेरा भक्त है, तू तो मान जाएगा. जैसे दो बच्चे रहते हैं, कोई ज़्यादा ओबीडियंट रहता है, बोलते तू तो यार समझता है, तू तो छोड़ यार, ये नहीं समझता है तो उसको चलो दे देते हैं. हाँ, राइट? तो लाइक दैट दुर्योधना इज अ क्रेजी गाय, चलो उसकी पहले मान लेते हैं, बोलने दो उसको जो भी बोलना है, वैसे भी क्या फ़र्क पड़ने वाला है, राइट? बट वॉट डिड द लॉर्ड डू? ही सेड नथिंग डूइंग. आई सॉ अर्जुना, लेट हिम आस्क. व्हाई? Because I want to show the world that what my devotees want, that is the Lord's desire. And what did he ask? ऐसा नहीं था कि बोला कि मेरे को कृष्णा चाहिए, और कृष्णा ने क्या बोला? दो ऑप्शन है तुम्हारे पास, या तो मेरी नारायणी सेना which is huge, हाँ, या तो मेरी नारायणी सेना, या तो मैं खुद जो वेपन नहीं उठाऊंगा, सिर्फ मैं युद्ध में रहूंगा. क्या चाहिए बोलो? एंड अर्जुना आस्क्ड टू दुर्योधना, सरप्राइज, दुर्योधन का सिस्टम हैंग हो गया. दुर्योधन का सिस्टम हैंग हो गया. बोला इसमें अक्ल है कि नहीं है? कृष्ण को मांग रहा है जो वेपन भी नहीं उठाने वाले हैं. क्या मांग लिया इसने? पर मनी मन उसने ऐसा व्यक्त किया, उसने मुझे पहला चांस नहीं दिया, ठीक है मैं नारायणी सेना ले लेता हूं. पर वो अंदर ही अंदर इतना खुश हो रहा था, वो कितना बेवकूफ़ है ये, हाँ, इसको अकल ही नहीं है. बट देखो, सी द ब्यूटी ऑफ अ डिवोटी. ही वॉन्ट्स कृष्णा, ही वॉन्ट्स नथिंग एल्स. दैट इज वॉट लॉर्ड कृष्णा वॉन्टेड टू शो टू द वर्ल्ड. एंड वेन यू प्लीज कृष्णा, एवरीथिंग एल्स इज डन. Everything else is done. So I wanted to tell that story of my friend. He has 3 children. 2 daughters and 1 son. So eldest son, then daughter, and then another small daughter. Maybe इसकी एज की रहेगी वो daughter. So छोटी बच्ची थी, वो क्या करती है? ड्राइंग करती है. हाँ, जैसे कुछ भी ड्राइंग किया तो ड्राइंग करके जाके अपने बड़े भैया को दिखाया. बड़े भैया को दिखाया, देखो भैया मैंने कैसा ड्राइंग किया है. छी क्या बकवास ड्राइंग है, ऐसा कोई ड्राइंग करता है क्या? करके बेचारी को ऐसा कर दिया. फिर जाके वो अपनी बड़ी दीदी को दिखाती है, देखो 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 मैंने कैसे ड्राइंग किया है. बोले नहीं ऐसा ड्राइंग नहीं करने का, मैं तेरे को सिखा दूँ कैसे ड्राइंग करने का, ऐसा ड्राइंग थोड़ी करते हैं. ये देखो कितना ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये प्रॉब्लम, वो सब दिखाने लगी उसको. तो बेचारी परेशान हो गई. देन शी गोज़ टू हर फादर. हाँ, फादर के पास गई, पापा पापा देखो मैंने ड्राइंग किया, कैसा है? हिज फादर लुक्ड एट इट सेइंग, वाओ सो ब्यूटीफुल, वेरी नाइसली डन। हाँ, अभी देखो इधर भी थोड़ा और कलर करो, इधर भी करो, और सुंदर बनेगा, बहुत सुंदर बनाया आपने। सो देन वो दोनों तभी वहीं पे खड़े थे बाजू में, हाँ, एल्डर ब्रदर एंड द एल्डर सिस्टर। तभी उसने क्या उनके सामने देखा और बोला, आई डोंट केयर, तुमको पसंद आया कि नहीं पसंद आया, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, मेरे बाबा को पसंद आया ना, दैट्स इट, आई एम सेटिस्फाइड। सो लाइक दैट, तुम चाहे कितना भी दूसरों को सेटिस्फाई करने चाहो, नहीं होगा। पर अगर भगवान को कितना भी गंदा ड्राइंग करके देंगे ना हम, भगवान हमेशा देखेंगे, वाह बेटा थैंक यू, बहुत अच्छा ड्राइंग किया है। एंड दैट्स इट, दैट इज़ व्हाट वी वांट। हमको किसी और का कंफर्मेशन नहीं चाहिए कि मैं अपनी लाइफ में सही कर रहा हूँ कि नहीं कर रहा हूँ। हमको सिर्फ कंफर्मेशन किससे चाहिए? अपने ओरिजिनल बाबा से चाहिए, कृष्णा से चाहिए, हमारे ओरिजिनल पिता से चाहिए। बस कृष्णा ने बोल दिया ना कि सही है, फिर बाद में तुम मेरा मानो ना मानो, मुझे नालायक बोलो या जो भी बोलो, मुझे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता। लाइक दैट स्मॉल डॉटर। एंड दैट्स वाई प्रभुपाद ऑलवेज यूज्ड टू से, इफ यू रियली वांट टू डू भक्ति देन बिकम अ चाइल्ड लाइक, डोंट बिकम चाइल्डिश बट बिकम चाइल्ड लाइक। That is what is required. That is what is required. So this is the exact meaning of Rishikesha. If you do that, believe me, nothing else is required in your life. Your life will become sublime. You will become the most happiest person on the earth. But if you try to satisfy all these leaves and branches and everything, you will be frustrated. There is no question about it. There is no question about it. Now coming to the story of Panchajanya, how this particular thing came. Now this is also an amazing story. That is why if you hear more about Krishna, believe me, you will forget about Virat Kohli and Padukone and this and that. These are all become a kachra ho jayega Krishna ke samne. The way the Krishna speaks his character is so amazing. So now Krishna was 10 years old and then he decides to go to the Gurukul. Now just see the whole episode is so amazing. Now he goes to the Gurukul and Krishna teaches by own example that Guru is important in your life. And at that time the Gurukul was such an amazing. So he goes to the Gurukul of Sandipani Muni. And the Sandipani Muni comes from where? He actually originates from Kashi. But he was settled in the Avantika Nagari. What is Avantika Nagari? Ujjain. Right, so he was settled there, and even today you can go and visit Sandipani Muni's ashram also there. So he goes there and learns the 64 kala. And now all these things are done. I'm fast forwarding the story. When all these things are done, Krishna goes to the Guru that what Guru Dakshina we can give. Now see the contrast. Today's education system, pehle paisa bharo. What was his education system? पूरा एजुकेशन हो गया, उसके बाद फीस की बात आ रही है। माइंड इट, हाँ, नथिंग, फर्स्ट एंट्री विदाउट आस्किंग एनीथिंग, यू जस्ट कम एंड स्टडी, सब हो गया। बाद में गुरु दक्षिणा। अभी गुरु दक्षिणा देखना क्या मांगते हैं, जबरदस्त। गुरु दक्षिणा ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरा बैंक अकाउंट इतने पैसों से भर दो या ये कर दो। व्हाट डिड संदीपनी मुनि आस्क्ड? Because he knew who is Lord Krishna. He said, my dear child Krishna, what I want is my own son drowned near the Prabhas Kshetra many years ago. Can you bring him back? He died. This is the Guru Dakshina Guru is asking. Can you bring my dead son? Of course, he knows what his disciple is. Okay, anybody doesn't ask just for the heck of it. He knows the capacity of that person, and then they ask, right? So Krishna says, sure enough. So Krishna goes to the Prabha Kshetra, and there is a ocean there. So he calls for a Varuna Dev. And sure enough, looking at Krishna, Varuna Dev comes, and Varuna Dev says, it's actually not me who took Sandipani Muni's son, but it's actually Panchajanya who took it, who is a demon and who was staying in the form of a conch. So then Krishna goes and calls for a Panchajanya and challenges him. And of course, Krishna kills him. And then his outer body was of a shape of a conch. And that is the conch that Krishna took. Now you may wonder कि demon का body का क्यों ले रहे हैं Krishna? So who was that demon? That demon was none other than the devotee of Krishna only in his previous life. Like how Jai Vijay, who came as Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, Shishupal and Dantavakra, like that, this was also a devotee of the Lord in the spiritual world. Okay? But because he had that chivalry rasa with the Lord, Lord granted and he came as a Panchajanya. And now killing him, he got this particular thing. And now he said, in fact, I also don't have the son of this, is actually with the Yamaraj because I killed him. So he goes to the Yamaraj and Yamaraj welcomed him, the Lord. He says, how can I serve you? He said, I want the son of Sandipani Muni. He said, sure enough. He gives the son of Sandipani, he takes the son, goes back and fulfills the Guru Dakshina that his Guru asked. That is how this Panchajanya was captured by Krishna. And that is what he blew. And that's why it is said these are transcendental shankhas. These are not ordinary. Right? Now Devadatta. How Arjuna got the Devadatta. So as itself name tells, right? Devadatta means given by the Devas. So how was that possible? So when they were preparing for the fight, Arjuna, he knew that what he is up against, right? It's not that he's just up against Duryodhan because there are so many others who are going to support Duryodhan. And also the Bhishma and Drona were there, right? So it's not that this is going to be ordinary thing, right? So he needed some celestial weapons coming from the Devas, right? So what he wanted is he wanted to go to the Svargaloka and learn this Dhanurvidya of the celestial weapons from Indra himself. But how to go to Svargaloka? हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं स्वर्ग में जाना है तो क्या होना पड़ेगा स्वर्गवासी होना पड़ेगा ना स्वर्गवास हो गया तो इधर से खत्म करके वहां जा सकते हैं बट अर्जुन को ऐसा नहीं था इन द सेम बॉडी ही वेंट टू द स्वर्गलोक एंड केम बैक आल्सो सो विल सी हाउ so Yudhishthir Maharaj, once they were in that forest, right, those 13 years they were in the forest, Vyasadeva meets with Yudhishthir Maharaj and Yudhishthir Maharaj receives one mantra by which one can travel at the speed of wind and after that he can travel at the speed of mind. Just see, all these things were available at that time. And that mantra Yudhishthir Maharaj gives to Arjuna, and Arjuna travels at the speed of wind and then to the mind, and in one day he reaches to Mandara mountain. Now see, even at the speed of mind it took him one day, so you can imagine how far that is, right? So he reaches to the Mandara mountain, and at that Mandara mountain there was a sage or a Brahmana who was sitting in the meditation, and he suddenly stops Arjuna. He said, wait. You cannot go, you are a human. You have to be absolutely pure to go into the higher planetary systems. You cannot go like this, it's not possible. He says, no, I want to serve my elder brother and that's why I am here and I am duty bound and I must go. So looking at his determination, this Brahmana comes to the original form. He was none other than Indra. And he says, okay, I will take you to the heavenly planet. Why? I'll just teach you only celestial weapons. You can enjoy also all this my kingdom because Swarga is famous for all this enjoyment. Have nice time and then go. What did Arjuna say? Nothing doing. I don't want any enjoyment. I am a duty bound. I must fulfill the desire of my elder brother. I must support him in his war. So he gave aside all this enjoyment even though Indra was offering him. Can you imagine? That is Arjuna. So sometimes we feel, oh, Arjuna is just the friend of Krishna and that is it. No, he was such a very powerful personality and a very pure character. Very pure character, Arjuna, right? So he goes there and then there is a beautiful story comes where he needed some of the celestial weapons. So Indra says, you should take the blessings of Lord Shiva before you start using these weapons. And that's where the Shiva comes as a hunter. And then Arjuna was in one of the forests and he shot at one of the wild boar. And he says, no, I have a right on this boar. And Shiva says, no, I hit the boar first. And they start fighting. and in that, like, amazing fight that happens, and that the quiver that Arjuna got from the Agni Dev, saying that it will never be, like, exhausted, but, like, finally it got exhausted, that he understood that this person I'm fighting with is not ordinary. He's very, very something beyond my imagination. And then he realizes that he's none other than Shiva, and then Shiva also becomes pleased and gives him all these celestial weapons. And the most important thing is Pashupata Astra that he gives him, right? And then Indra and all the other devtas come, and then Indra takes him in the chariot of Matali all the way to the Swargloka, teaches him all this Dhanurvidya of the celestial weapons and everything. And then Arjuna comes down, and before he comes, all these devas give him this conch as a gift. That's why it is called Devadatta. So that's what the conch that he blew. And then the interesting part of the Bhima, okay? So Bhima was an interesting character. So Pandavas were how many? Kitne log the? 5, right? And then Draupadi 6 and Kunti 7, right? तो जो भी खाना बनता था रोज, उसका हाफ पार्ट किया जाता था. 50% was reserved for Bhima, and बाकी के 50% में से बाकी के 6 लोग खाते थे. That 50% was reserved for Bhima because he had such a voracious appetite. This fire in his belly was so burning that he needed that much of food. So Srila Prabhupada used to say, you can eat as much as you like, but then you have to work also like Bhima. So Bhima was working also. He could do Herculean tasks, right? So I'll tell one story of Bhima, which was really amazing. So while they were in the forest, they were going through a village called Ekachakra, and they stayed at a Brahmana's place, right? And at that Brahmana's place were, like, they were serving them prasad and everything. And after that, they felt that there is some moroseness in the house. They were all disturbed and some distress that they felt, all these Pandavas. So Yudhishthir Maharaj asked the head of the house, the Brahmana, that why I feel there is something wrong in your house. He says, no, nothing wrong. So they were trying to hide, And then अंदर ही अंदर वो लोग डिस्कस करें कि कल किसको भेजना है. Then they overhear this, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj says, no, you tell me, I insist, you tell me what is going on. So he said, there is a great demon called Bakasur who stays nearby, and he comes to our village and he used to devour anything and everything. So we made a treaty with him saying that, भैया अब एक काम करो, हम रोज आपको बहुत सारा फूड भेजेंगे, उसके साथ एक वो बैलगाड़ी में जो आएगा उसको भी खा लेना तुम, ठीक है? बिकॉज ही वॉन्टेड अ ह्यूमन एज अ डेजर्ट. तो वो जो भेजेंगे उसको भी आप खा लेना. तो लाइक दैट द विलेजर्स ने क्या किया था, हर रोज गांव से एक एक बंदा लेके जाता था, पूरा कार्ट भर के खाना, और वो बंदा भी उस दिन समाप्त हो जाएगा. तो अभी उस दिन उसी घर के व्यक्ति का टर्न था. तो अभी वो लोग डिसाइड कर रहे थे कि कौन जाएगा. उसके बच्चे भी थे, तो बच्चा बोला नहीं मैं जाऊँगा वगैरह. तो चल रहा था, उनका काफ़ी डिस्ट्रेस चल रहा था. तो देन दे हर्ट. तो युधिष्ठिर महाराज सेज, कुंती महारानी ऑल्सो हर्ट, सेज नथिंग वरी, माई सन विल गो भीमा एंड ही विल टेक केयर ऑफ एवरीथिंग. just make sure that you have some extra food in the cart because he loves the food. He says no worries, we'll do it. So Bhima was given a full cart, with the food and everything. So he really enjoyed. He took it, and while going only, he was eating, and he was really enjoying it. So by the time he reached, still 20% food was left. And he reached at the gufa of Bakasur. And the Bakasur came out and he saw that the food was almost empty, nothing is there, and he was very upset. And he started to attack Bhima, and while Bhima was still eating, so Bhima, one hand, right hand he was eating, and with the left hand he was keeping the demon aside, the Asura. And he completed the remaining 20% of the food. अच्छा बोलो अभी क्या है करके, within no time he finished that demon and he came back. So that is Bhima. One hand he eats, and other hand he was just keeping the Asura aside, So that's the power of Bhima. So that is, and that's why it is called Vrukodara. And the beautiful story comes of the Bhima was another story of his Ekadashi, because he cannot remain hungry, and he knew, being a Vaishnav, that Ekadashi करना बहुत ही important है. बोलता है ये सब होगा नहीं मेरे से, भगवान कुछ आप दया करो मेरे ऊपर. तो बोले ठीक है, the only one thing I can give you is you don't do any Ekadashi, but one day of the year you have to do Nirjala. And that's what once a year we get that Bhima Ekadashi or the Nirjala Ekadashi. If you do that Ekadashi, then all the other Ekadashis, if you have missed or anything, then everything else is covered. That is all thanks to Bhima. Okay, so those are the wonderful stories of that. Now we'll cover the verse 16 to 18 and we'll quickly cover 19 and 20 and then we'll discuss some of the other stories if time permits. Okay. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakula Sadevascha Sughosha Manipushpako Kashyascha Parameshwasa Shikhandi cha Maharataha Drushtadumno Viratascha Satyakishwa Parajitaha Drupado Draupadeyasya Sarvasaha Prithvipate Sobhadra cha Mahabahu Sugosha Manipushpaka. Ek minute, I think I did messed up, sorry. Sobhadrascha Mahabahu Sankhando Dodma Prathak Prathak. I read the other line of the first verse, sorry. So the translation goes like this. King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakula and Sahadev blew the Sugosha and Manipushpaka. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drushtadumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and the others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. So you read next.
Sanjaya informed King Dhritarashtra very tactfully that his unwise policy of deceiving the sons of Pandu and endeavoring to enthrone his own sons on the seat of kingdom was not very laudable. The signs already clearly indicated that the whole Kuru dynasty would be killed in that great battle, beginning with the grandsire Bhishma, down to the grandson like Abhimanyu and others, including kings from many states of the world. All were present there. All were doomed. The whole catastrophe was due to King Dhritarashtra because he encouraged policy followed by his son.
Okay, so we'll take the two more verses because that's where we end. The very logical conclusion comes. And then from next time onwards, we'll see that Arjuna starts speaking. So I want to just cover this too. So is it okay if we just go 5-10 minutes over time? Yeah? So verse 19. Sagosha Datra Rashtrana Hridayani Vedarayat Namashva Prithvim Cheva Tumulo Abhyanunadayana. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. You want to read? You have it?
When Bhishma and the others on the side of Duryodhana blew their respective conch shells, there was no heartbreaking on the part of Pandavas. Such occurrences are not mentioned. But in this particular verse, it is mentioned that the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by the sounds vibrated by the Pandavas' party. This is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity.
That's a wonderful statement towards the end, right? Very beautiful. The last verse for today. Atha vyavasthitan drashtva Datra Rashtra'n Kapidvaja प्रवृते शास्त्र संपाते धनुरुद्यम्य पांडवा ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदम् aha महीपते. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to the Lord Krishna these words. You want to read?
The battle was just about to begin. It is understood from the above statement that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of military force by the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instructions of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Rama in the battle between Rama and Ravana. And Lord Rama emerged victorious. Now both Rama and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Rama himself, and wherever Lord Rama is, his eternal servitor Hanuman and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore, Arjuna had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever. And above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him directions. Thus, all good counsel was available to Arjuna in the matter of executing the battle. In such auspicious conditions, arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee, lay the signs of assured victory.
Thank you. So now, quickly we see some of the important characters that is being mentioned. The one of the character that we hear is Shikhandi. See, I am taking few characters because there is a lot of lessons to be learned from some of these things, right? So who is Shikhandi, right? So we all know the story of Ambalika, right? Where these things happen. So this Shikhandi was originally Amba in her previous life. And what happened in that particular episode is Bhishma brought Ambalika and Ambika, this three ladies from the one of the kingdom, and to marry Vichitravirya, the son of Satyavati. So now Amba, whom he brought, was already given her heart to someone called Shalva. Okay. Now when she was so-called kidnapped, right, for this Vichitravirya and came here, then she said that, sorry Bhishma ji, I am already given my heart to Shalva, so I cannot marry Vichitravirya. So as soon as Bhishma heard this, he immediately let her go. It's okay, yeah, fine, you go. So then she goes to Shalva, and Shalva says, sorry, I cannot accept you now because you have been touched by someone else. So I cannot marry you. So now she comes back and tells Bhishma to marry her. And Bhishma says, I cannot marry you because I have taken a vow to be a brahmachari, so I cannot marry you, sorry. Says, nothing doing, you have to marry me. So then she figures out who to escalate. We all know this corporate chain, right? Who to escalate to, right? So then she goes and escalates to Bhishma's Guru Parshuramji. That is where the escalation chain started. So Parshuram ko leke aati hai, and Parshuram says, Bhishma, you have to marry because she is right. You touched her. You should not kidnap her, na, in that case. He says, I kidnapped her for Vichitravirya. It's not that I had any desire to marry her. So, and I have taken a vow. So it is said in Shastra that even a guru cannot force for one particular thing. One decision that guru cannot influence, or influence is not the right word, but cannot force upon on his disciple, which is to get married. That one decision, that is that person himself. Even a guru cannot force on it. So now Parshuram knew that very well. So if you don't obey me, then you have to fight with me. So now this is again the glory of even Bhishma ji is also coming. Parshuram was such a great fighter. He actually annihilated the Kshatriya race 21 times. He was such a great fighter, and that's why Bhishma learned from him. Now, when they were fighting, it was always ending up a tie. There was no results coming. It was always ending up a tie. So you can imagine the Bhishma who could give such a fight to his own Guru Parshuramji. Such a great fighter. And then Parshuram came to Amba and said, "Sorry, mother, I cannot help you." And that's where she said, "Nothing doing. If nobody helps me, then I am going to meditate, I am going to do penances. And with my yogic power, I will give up this body and I will take birth again to kill Bhishma." Now, Bhishma was unconquerable. But just imagine if somebody किसी ने ठान ली, then anything and anything can happen. Then she came as a Shikhandi. So she actually came as a daughter of Drupad. Drupad has a Draupadi also as a daughter, and this Shikhandi also as a daughter. अब ये daughter थी तो ये fight में कैसे आ गई? So while she was a daughter, because she had that so much of a strong desire to fight and everything, so she actually got the blessings of one of the yaksha, by which she changed her gender. So this gender changing what you see today is happening from the Dwapar Yuga, but it was not like anybody and everybody can become like that. That she had that very strong desire to have this particular thing. But Bhishma knew that she is a lady only, right? So when Shikhandi comes on the battle, Bhishma gives up because बोलता है कि I will not fight the lady. And that's where Arjuna shoots an arrow and then takes care of the Bhishma. And of course, the Bhishma had a Ichamruti by the way. So it's not that this arrow actually killed. Bhishma already decided that my time has come, now I need to go. And that's how he left this world, right? And that's how this Shikhandi comes into the play. It was very, very amazing. And then Srila Prabhupada mentioned that very beautiful word, right? That if you have taken a shelter of the Lord, then you don't have to fear anything in this world. And that's why we see all these great souls who have a full faith in the Lord, who are the devotees of the Lord, they have an amazing, they are absolutely fearless. Believe me, even today, I bet in the middle of the night, you cannot go into the downtown New York. It is such a crazy place. Such a crazy place. And Prabhupada lived in the Bowery, where every other person is a drug addict and mentally retarded practically by taking drugs. And he could survive in that particular situation. Can you imagine? Because he was completely fearless. Completely fearless. So it's not that we have to go to the Dwapar Yuga to find out like Arjuna who is a fearless. Even we have an example today. And so many examples. And the last story that we'll discuss for today is the sign or the Hanumanji himself on the chariot flag of Arjuna. How that happened. Right? So once they were in the Badrika ashram, all these Pandavas and others, and I think Arjuna had gone to the heavenly planet to get the celestial weapons and everything. And Bhima was there, and suddenly while they were there and Draupadi was there, there was a very fragrant 1,000-petal lotus came flowing in the river Mandakini, right? And she picked up that lotus and she was so enchanted by that lotus, saying that, "Bhima, can you get me some more lotuses so that I can present this to Yudhishthir Maharaj?" And Bhima was ready to do anything and everything to please Draupadi, because he knew very well that how she was completely shattered by that episode that happened in Asat Sabha when people tried to disrobe her. So Bhima was determined to do anything and everything. So he said, "Okay, I will go and get it for you." So I don't know how many of you been to Badrinath and those places, but they're really, really difficult places. And even today, they say there is a Saptarishi mountains and others where you go, it's very difficult track, it's impossible. And there is actually, after one place it is said that nobody has gone, even today. So Bhima was going into that particular realm, and then he finds some of the other beings which are not the earthly beings, right? And he fights with them, and he still goes further because he could not find those lotuses. He could steal the fragrance coming, but he could not find the source of it. So going ahead and ahead. And the way he was going, very violent, So a lot of things were happening. Like, all the animals of the forest was like, going here and there. And suddenly, he hears a very heavy sound. And Bhima's heart shattered, hearing that sound. And he was wondering, my God, ये sound किधर से आ रहा है? And he figured out that there was some monkey there, So he goes up there, very old monkey lying down. And it was actually coming in between his path, so to go. So he said, monkey, move aside. I need to go and get the, this 1,000-petal lotus for my wife. He said, I am very old monkey. I cannot move aside. आप चले जाए ना, मेरे को कूद के चले जाइए. Now, all of us, we know that अगर अपना गलती से भी किसी से पैर लग जाता है, तो हम क्या करते हैं? Why we do this? ये रिचुअल हो गया अपना. पर why we do this? This is actually given in this story of Hanuman ji. So Bhima says, I cannot, आपको कूद के नहीं जा सकता मैं. बोलते क्यों? Because there is a Paramatma residing in you. There is a Paramatma residing in you. How can I do this? I cannot. मैं आपको लांग के नहीं जा सकता. बोलते क्या बात करते हो, आप तो इतने स्ट्रांग है. मतलब इसके पहले वो बता रहे आप तो इतने स्ट्रांग है, आप तो लांग सकते हो ना, क्या प्रॉब्लम है? नहीं नहीं नहीं, मैं तो क्या बात करते हो, मेरे भाई हनुमान, उन्होंने तो पूरा समंदर लांग दिया था. तो तुम क्या सोचते हो मैं आपको नहीं लांग सकता? लांग सकता हूँ, पर आपके अंदर परमात्मा है तो मैं ये नहीं कर सकता. So that is what exactly happens when we touch anybody with our feet. We do this because we know that there is a Paramatma in their heart. So now Hanuman ji says कि ठीक है भाई, मेरी पूंछ हटा दो अपने हाथ से और चले जाओ. Then he tries to lift the tail of that, and then he realizes that he could not even move one fraction of the inch. And then he realizes this person is none other than something different, right? And he says, who are you? Please reveal your true identity. And he says, I am your elder brother, Hanuman. And he becomes very happy. He embraces him. Hanumanji actually shows him the original form that he did at the time of crossing the ocean. And they have a nice exchanges, very wonderful thing. And then Hanumanji promises that I can come only when my Lord Ram is there. My task is over, but I still be with you. I will be on the chariot of Arjuna, and I will make a very big cry when you are also making your sound. Because in that time, in the war, the most important thing is the sound. That will really shatter, as it is said in the 19th verse, right? It shattered when they blew the conch. It actually shattered the hearts of the Kaurava army, right? So that is what happens, and that is how Hanumanji was brought onto the chariot of Arjuna. So that's a beautiful stories that we discussed today. Now it's going to be the most amazing thing starting in Bhagavad Gita. So now onwards, do not miss anything, because it will be a wonderful lessons that we will see when Arjuna will start speaking. अब तक तो दुर्योधन बोल रहा था, तो उसमें कुछ इतना ये नहीं. अभी you will see the very gentleman, a very cultured person speaking, and how he speaks and how Krishna is going to respond is going to be mind-boggling. Okay, so please don't miss any of these things. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So I'll request, we have a wonderful devotees coming in today, Raas Gaurang Prabhu, Lalit Madhav Prabhu. So anything that you would like to add, Abhishek Prabhu, Mohit Prabhu, Mataji sides, anything? Lalit Madhav Prabhu, anything you want to add? Raas Gaurang Prabhu, Mohit Prabhu, anything you would like to? Anything? Yeah.
Remembering one of the statement that Prabhupada said, like you said that if I got a certification from my father, then I don't need anything else. So same way, I think Prajaru, I think, narrates one story of Prabhupada wherein Prabhupada says that I can shout to the moon, to the sky, and to the walls, like everywhere, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I don't want certificate from any pack of fools. So that's what I remember.
Wow. 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 Nice. Anything from the Mataji? You want to share anything? Disha Mataji, anything? Anybody has any questions? Any comments from anybody now or in general? Madhav Prabhu, anything you want to share? Okay, if there is nothing, then definitely you can meet any one of us and we can have more interactions, anything that we have.